All right, guys, we are back. Network address translation. We already discussed the topic that there's three types: static, dynamic, pat. Okay, today what we're going to focus on is static, that is a one-to-one mapping. So we're going to take a public IP address. A public IP address is something that the company paid for, you paid for, or any other company paid for, something that you're going to use that IP address in order for you to send your data, your traffic through the internet. And you're going to map that IP address to a private IP address, which in this case, when it comes to static NAT, is typically usually servers. So let's go into our what would be our Cisco packet tracer. Okay, guys, we are here and we are on our Cisco packet tracer. In this particular video, we went ahead and we configured everything. Everything has already been configured. We will make a video where I show you how to make the configurations, but let's go ahead and dip our toes in the water. So once again, this here is an example of static NAT. I want you to take a look at the highlighted colors. Yellow, okay, that is your private IP address, aka inside local. So this is the network. This is your network. Okay, this is the network that, say, maybe as a network engineer, you're configuring or you're responsible for, so on and so forth. This would be your network. Not much of a big network. You have one server, one switch, and a router. Okay, but nonetheless, this is going to highlight the point of what exactly a static NAT is. This green area here, I want you to think of almost like think of this as the highway. Okay, so this here is more so on the background, what your internet service provider would do in regards to just getting out into the internet. So just think of this as your office. Okay, think of this as your office. You have this router here within your office. Let's make that here. You have this router here within your office here, and then boom. Okay, you have a connection out into the world of the internet. Okay, this blue here, think of this as almost um, as a not your office, somebody else's office. It could technically be your office, but we don't want to we don't want to split hairs. Just think of this as, hey, I'm trying to download a video from Netflix, or hey, I'm trying to go ahead and get information from Google, or hey, I'm looking at this website, doing some research, or what have you. Okay, so think of this blue as the location, or more so the entity in which you are trying to receive the information from. Okay, I'm going to show you guys a quick couple commands, but before I do, mostly show commands, but before I do, I want you to ingrain this into your head. Okay, this is the difference between static NAT and all the other ones. Static NAT is a one-to-one mapping. Okay, they gave us this network here, guys. Okay, this network right here, 1.1.1.0/28. That is the network that they gave us. That is what we bought. That is what we paid for. Okay, this is our network. If we were to just to look at this network, we would basically go ahead, and I have my notes here. Okay, this is what I call the network of interest, because this is our public IP address, which is technically going to be our inside global, and I'll show you how. But this network, this is the one that we will have to have the one-to-one mapping. So this is what we paid for, this is what we could afford, this is what we have. Okay, we within this network, okay, we have to do a little bit of math. What is the total available IP addresses based on the 28 subnet mask? I have the answer already for you here: 14. Okay, within this network, we have a network address, we have available addresses, and we have our broadcast address. Okay, this is if you don't comprehend this, this is a video for another day, but this is the given, this is what we have to work with today. So just trust me on this one. 1.1.1.0/28 was what we paid for. We only have 14 available addresses. We have our network address, we have our broadcast address. So just think of this as your office. Maybe you have a small office, maybe you have a big office, but can you see the problem in the situation? If your company can only afford 14 public IP addresses, and let's say you have 30 computers, okay, how are you going to go ahead and get those computers into the network? Okay, in this particular case, because remember, there's three types of NATs: static, dynamic, and pat. In this particular case, for this particular situation, static NAT is typically used for servers. So let's say you have an office and your service is to go ahead and provide uh, data information for a mining company. Okay, let's just say that's the situation. Your server is the one that needs to go out into the internet, is to go out to go ahead and provide services so people can download PDF files or what have you or whatnot. And with the static NAT, what you can do is you can have, in this case, you can have 100 computers. Okay. Obviously, we would need more switches, but you can have 100 computers here. Those computers don't necessarily need access to the internet. They might just need access to the server, so on and so forth. And it's the server that's going ahead and getting the information from the internet. And then you would be able to have your private your basically what would be your land, your local area network. Okay, so this would be your LAN here, and you can add multiple PCs and you can use those private IP addresses. Okay, 1.1.1.1.3/28 is the address. Okay, because mind you, out of these 14 available addresses that we used, the 1.1.1.3 is the one that we have the one-to-one mapping. Okay, and I'll prove it to you. So if I go here, actually I already have some of those commands show, but let's do it again here. Um, Look at this right here. Inside local. My inside local, okay, inside local. That's going to be inside my local area network. This IP address is the address that is attached to the server. Okay, and you can see it here, and I can prove it to you. IP config. Look at that. IP address 1.0.1.10. Okay, that's for this server here, for server 0. Okay, now let's go ahead and come back here. Our inside global. Okay, our inside global is basically one of these IP addresses. We can't use point one, okay? Because point one is technically the address is already being used by the address on this router. Okay, we can't use point one, 1.1.1.1, because that's the address for this router. Okay, we have to use another available address. Okay, in this case, we use 1.1.3. And if we were to go ahead, I just want to ping this really quick. Let's ping our computer here, 1.1.1.18. Okay, and we have our reply. Let's go back to our router. We're going to run that same command again, show IPNAT translations. And look, you have your outside local, you have your outside global, you have your inside local, and you have your inside global. Okay, so that goes ahead. That should give you a better idea of how static NAT works. In the next video, we're actually going to go ahead and go straight into our configurations. Okay, so let's leave that there. Hopefully that explains the situation and we'll go from there.